I quite often return to this point at which when I'm throwing something away, I kind of, I grab it out of the trash, and I kind of go, oh, this object contains its whole history. It contains its kind of it contains a whole kind of cultural, in a way, a sort of cultural rhythm, like the story of culture, the story of its own history. I mean, we know from history that if you simply take something from the outside world and you reposition that thing in a gallery, just the shift of context changes the nature of that object. It turns it from something that is real into something that's a picture of something that it was before. I mean, something like the sculpture Burnt Out, which is I would say was like an urban fire. It's got bricks around it, and it's got a little bit of kind of moulding, a wooden moulding that's been burnt. It's kind of like a well, or it feels a bit like something that you might just stare at, a bit like you might stare at a fire. You might just sort of stare into it, and this is another kind of way of people looking at something, that is that they just sort of like, it's an object that you would just sort of stare at, and I quite enjoy that, the idea that there are almost like there's a performance of looking. There's a sort of a performance of experiencing objects. I think that that it is important to think about the way that art almost like relies on this contextual shift, that it is in an art gallery, and obviously I have lots of works which almost like by virtue of what they look like, you kind of imagine that they shouldn't be in the gallery. It's like, what's this doing in the gallery? I mean, I made a work which is like like a bronze match, and painted it to look like a match, and then we'll show it in quite a big kind of glass vitrine, and it's useful to have it in a vitrine because then you don't lose the sculpture. But it really feels like that the vitrine was made, and just before someone put the lid on it, someone else just put a match in there, and then they put the lid on and went, oh, looks like art. I quite like that kind of, almost like that, the sort of accident, the kind of the moment where it's like a kind of, it's like a sort of a joke on art, or a joke on itself, or like the artwork itself undermines itself, and maybe in that process of undermining, it opens itself to interpretation, and to it kind of reveals itself. I want the art to be fun. I want it to make people laugh, and I think sometimes like for me, there is actually a pure enjoyment with playing with history, with playing with the seriousness of art, playing with the authority of art, playing with authenticity, playing with ideas of value. Art is so kind of it is taken so and put into a kind of such a kind of a high value status often, which almost makes it unquestionable. And I want to say that it's the purpose and the value in art is that it can question value itself.